Morning, morning, monsters. Today I'm actually going to be talking about a bunch of projects that I've had on the go. Normally I don't talk about projects in process. Normally I like to ship them and say, hey, here they're done. That's my normal flow of things. However, just to sort of update you what I've all been up to, but also just to get some of these out there so there's no confusion about when development stuff on this happened. First of all, the thimble controller we spoke about earlier this week. I will be posting some designs. I don't intend to pattern it or anything like that. I just kind of want to get it out there, much like I did with the early webpad work I did. If anyone with time and engineering know-how wants to play with it, feel free to take it. I'm posting it. I'll put an appropriate license agreement with it when I post it to the website. But yeah, that is free to take. I relinquish any ownership or moral copyright on those ideas. And talking about it in between employment and developing it on the idea between employment basically frees it up from any patent or other nonsense that would happen. So everything else from here, some of it was developed in this period here. Most of the software dev stuff was. And then a lot of it has been worked on for quite a while. Well, I've been at Sony, but I had exceptions for this stuff and whatnot. So let's run through it. What has Claire been up to? First of all, and the thing that occupying most of my time at the moment is a project I'm calling tinyXR. It's an OpenXR Vulkan engine. It's more, engine's an ambitious term. It's more for the second project, which initially was being developed in Unreal. But I decided, I really want to actually get more to grips with OpenXR. Been developing a little XR engine. The idea is to focus on, I've been playing around with different BVH formats. I've been playing around with separating representational layers. So normally your nodes in your BVH would have like all the kind of data and you would have one unified BVH. But I've been thinking about things like separating gameplay and logic information into coarser layers and basically exploring the idea of leaf nodes not only being at leaf nodes, as in like data being in branch nodes and stuff, which I'm getting mixed results on. If I'm completely honest. But I think it's interesting enough that I want to continue to pursue it. I think there are applications in what I'm doing that mean the storage format and the size of the BVH and the traversal of BVH could be much better. This is both a mixed approach, and then I have another approach where I have completely separate BVH trees to traverse. But I'm really trying to build up my knowledge of Vulkan acceleration structures to understand that, because I am super noob on Vulkan. I have just not spent enough time with it at all. But yeah, that's kind of where my dev focus has been in the last month. Just kind of going on that. Then there is a project called digdeep. This is actually inspired by earlier Jam projects and a show called Made in the Abyss. So there was a very early Jam project I did more than 10 years ago that I've actually taken more than one swing at around 3D puzzles. That's very informative of it. Taking a lot from that kind of project. It's a generative SDF and implicit geometry project. So this is why the tinyXR engine is kind of important to it, because I really believe for the idea to work, all of the game logic layers need to work at an SDF or a volumetric layer at least. Much how Minecraft only works because it's voxels. I think this idea only works if it's volumes. I don't want to talk too much about the story side there, but it's, as I said, it's inspired by Made in the Abyss. There's another project, another Jam project earlier on that I was working on with some friends. I was taking earlier swings at this because I like the idea of simulation at the node level. So this is things like fluid and plant simulation stuff at the, like volume and node level. I played around a lot with this in a voxel approach years ago, like 5 years ago, with a tech demo. It wasn't a video game because I wasn't allowed to develop video games in my free time outside of game jams, which I had exclusions for. But it was this idea of, well, what if you take pot plant space and you voxelize it, and then you allow, you run voxel simulations for growing plant stuff. I liked it. It did some interesting things, but I don't like the restriction that, particularly to art style, that the sort of Minecraft square voxel approach gives. So I've been thinking about this a lot around volumetric simulation stuff. So that's the easiest way to kind of express what I've been playing around with there. Its core loops are like discovery, rebuilding like bits you find from the discovery phase, and then farming and crafting, basically, because I like the idea of having a strong base mentality. I like a town on top and then you're going down. Very, very like rudimentary, back to the origins of things like Inframiner and a lot of this kind of stuff. So anyway, that's been my big creative project. It's a lot, and don't expect to see too much update on that. I'm going to be working on it in pieces, but I may, now that that's out there, talk about it a bit more as I get things. But as I say, I prefer not to talk too much about in progress stuff. The other is a project that I've mostly been involved with from a production and contracting point of view, because I just couldn't get too involved in it. I may get more involved in it now that I'm a bit more free. I've been doing a little bit of work on it this last month, and that is what we call the Magic Shop game. It's a puzzle visual novel style game. It's very light, very, very lightweight game. But that's informed by some of my wife's book stuff. So there's a lot of writing in that. But yeah, that's not been an active development. As I say, we've been looking to outsource some of that stuff. So that's where that's been. And I've been working on an OSC Twitch extension bot thingy. OSC is Open Sound Controller. That's more just a hobby project that I think I'll get out in the near future. But that's something I've been playing around. I was going to do it for the channel points challenge development thing, but I was just not motivated. I had so much energy to throw into the tinyXR project that focuses me. Okay, outside of the world of software development, what have I been up to? Well, Duckies got 3 books in development, so that takes up some of my time. Not too much, but book 4's final draft, we just did the final edit pass. I'm now looking at hiring artists and doing the typesetting phase and getting that to print. It's going to be a big thing in the next month or so, maybe 2 months. Book 5 has started the editing and appeal pass. Yeah, so book 4 is a sci-fi book. I will announce it soon. Yeah, book 5, I don't think we want to really talk about what book 5 is about, but needless to say, it's going into its first real editing and appeal pass soon. Book 6, the first draft, is finished, but we're not going to be able to start anything on that till book 5's gone through its first editing pass. Unfortunately, I've been lagging behind because last year was a very busy year for me, and quarantine completely knocked out my ability to focus on book work. Having said that, the 2 books the 2 projects that I had started and had progressed on quite far with quarantine starting, but then just died in their tracks, and I'm going to have to resurrect soon, are the South African Tales comic. We did announce that, but we haven't given it a proper name. It's very much in the vibe of the game dev comic that I've done, but it's about growing up in South Africa. It's a lot more personal. It's not other people's stories. I mean, there's a few stories from friends in there, but it's mostly mine. The trouble with that one is initially I wanted to do the work with that in dreams, but I'm very attached to this watercolor kind of style that I've got. So while that's mostly thumbnailed and paged out, I'm still trying to nail an art style for that and get a feel I like for that, because visually in my head I have a very specific thing for that. So the moment I sort of work out a process I like for putting those together, I think you might see me doing page work on stream, because I like doing page work on stream. It keeps me focused, keeps me from wandering away from the work. And the other one is best described as a space survival Heinlein boys adventure kind of book, but without the boys adventure part, if you know what I mean. Like more just like a lot of those, I love that genre of books, but a lot of them were written like in the 50s and pulp traditions, and basically they're problematic as fuck. And so I've been playing around with one. I've got a first draft partially done, but I need to flesh it out, and I need to work on the structure and such. So that's very much in the weeds of development at the moment and writing at the moment. I haven't touched it in 2 months. It's been a while. The other one I've been working on more actively in the last, since November, is a project, another comic project I'm calling Virtually Unknown. It's a series of stories and bits, tips really, but also history and games I felt were really overlooked in the early years of VR development. When I say the early years, I mean the current wave of VR development, like starting with the DK1. There's a lot of stories there, more from sort of the DK1 period up until, my focus is up until the last, about a year or two ago. I kind of feel now we're moving into the mainstream phase of VR. With the Quest 1's launch, kind of for me signaled the shift change. The Quest 2 accelerated it obviously, but the Quest 1 kind of accelerated, like for me kind of marks the point. So the last stories in that comic will probably be around the PS5 launch and PSVR transitioning and all that stuff going across. But yeah, that's one that I'm putting together that's sort of a historical reference, but also just some fun stuff people might not know about that phase of VR development. As I said, it's called Virtually Unknown. Those are the book and comic projects on the go. I've been a busy bunny. Video stuff. I have a VR interview show I've been working on where we do VR interviews in VR chat. I've got 2 interviews in the can. I'm not happy with either of them structurally. I'm working a lot on the branding and the editing style. I'm trying to find a tone and voice for those shows. I need to line up more interviews, and I have lined up some, but I'm hesitant to move forward on that until I get a structure I like. I definitely want to do it in VR chat. I like that format. I thought about switching it to Neos recently. I don't think I will. Just after having explored some stuff, I think VR chat's where I'm going to stick it. But I'm trying to find a voice and a pacing and editing for it, because the 2 interviews are a bit different, but I like talking about them both. That one I really thought I would have had out by now. I keep on taking swings at it, but I'm not happy with it. This is why I don't like to talk about projects in development normally, but as I say, we're getting an insight. Morning Monsters, this show, we have slanted this show way more to tech and VR discussions, occasional game dev stuff. We're trying to keep it tight. We're trying to keep it 30 minutes to an hour for the live recording. The video is always under 30 minutes, preferably under 20. So, and I try the structure to keep these as edit light as possible, because I don't add a lot of value in the edit. The better thing is if I come here and I can snap it off, and we can get this in the can, and we can get this on YouTube. Yeah. Morning Monsters, that's where we are now. Escape Southwark. You all know I launched a separate YouTube channel for that. It's going to be busy this month because I'm doing the Skate Every Day in August challenge. But under normal circumstances, expect one video every week to 2 weeks on that channel, especially throughout summer as we skate. So that's there. I love skating. Skate footage editing, I try to keep to a minimum. This August challenge is really going to pump through some stuff, but yeah, we'll work through that. Finally, there is a YouTube channel that is dormant, hasn't got any videos posted on it, because I've been doing tech demos, trying to figure out how to do it. And it is a collection of AR short form stories. So the idea is this is vertical video under a minute for TikTok, YouTube Shorts, that kind of format. And it's informed, it's using AR, but it's trying to tell a particular story. I've mostly been in the writing and tech development phase for that, figuring out the storylines. The storyline thing, honestly, I've had boiling in my brain for about 6 years now, since I started walking around Soho on my lunch breaks and just seeing some pretty things and going, I think there is a separate story and world I can tell here. But I kept on putting it off. And now that TikTok video and YouTube Shorts and this vertical video under a minute format has become more popular, I think there's a good way to explore it. Because obviously if it was over a minute, I think technically the videos would be too difficult to produce. But yes, that is the full range of what's been happening both with my personal development and with the Flammable Penguins company that I run with my wife. In regards to what my new thing is, we reached the end of contract negotiations. I will be signing the contract today, which is exciting. But I suppose can I say it now? Can I say it now? But I think you'll all be pleasantly surprised when I say who it is. With that, ta-ta for now, YouTube. We're going to end it.